material, period, and to work with faculty to design and retrofit the course material to make it as accessible as possible. And presenting with me today is Coco Annapolis, who manages the textbook and course reader conversion and accessibility process. So we're hoping, oh, thanks, Coco, to put together a comprehensive list of quick tips and tools that you can use to make your course material more accessible. So the first thing that came to mind when thinking of accessibility for me was universal design, because it's pretty much synonymous with accessibility. The more you incorporate universal design into your course design, the more accessible it will be to a more diverse and wider group of people. I'm gonna click that. Sorry, I'll do it. Thank you, folks. This is a brief video that explains in more detail the concepts of universal design for learning.
For those viewing right now, can you hear us okay too? Send in a chat if we're all right.
And my computer is freezing. And believe it or not, we tested this entire presentation prior.
Coco, the viewers can hear you.
One moment, guys, I apologize. Is everything okay? I went through this entire presentation and tested all the links, and everything worked fine.
Sorry, we're just gonna
restart it again.
Yeah.
Oh, it closed.
What do you have?
I saved a copy on my desktop. No, both of us are not eye tracking. Well, I had, oh no, it's an ATA, sorry. I moved it. Look, that's not the right one. Look for 2, 3, because I called you as copy. It's in 2017.
Sorry, guys.
God, it's going slow.
You might as well just use this one just so that it's okay.
Why is it doing a search? I'm sorry, let's just open this.
Damina, do you want to try sending me the PowerPoint? I can try to open it on my computer and then I can share my screen. Would that be helpful?
Are you seeing it? We're going to try it one more time and then we'll.
Okay, just as a backup.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Isn't it Murphy's Law? You can test the presentation and it works fine.
Damina, Nidhi would like to know if there's going to be some time on the webinar to ask questions about resources and videos for captioning.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just going to open it from here. I think when Vivek installed Camtasia last night, it has slowed everything down. Okay. Can you see me? Hello? Cheryl?
Hi, I can see you.
Okay, so you can see the slides?
Yep.
Okay. Look at this. Something really strange is going on. I'm trying one more time. I know you're going to scream if it freezes. Click the one. Jeez. So much for technology.
This teacher needs to meet a curriculum goal, and she's got a very diverse group of students. And so does this teacher. And this one. Most do. In fact, research shows that the way people learn...
Is there a video showing?
I can see the video.
Today, classrooms are highly diverse, and curriculum needs to be designed from the start to meet diversity. Universal design for learning is an approach to curriculum that minimizes barriers and maximizes learning for all students. Whoa, that's a fancy term. Universal design for learning. Let's unpack it a bit. Let's think about the word universal. By universal, we mean curriculum that can be used and understood by everyone. Each learner in a classroom brings her own background, strengths, needs, and interests. Curriculum should provide genuine learning opportunities for each and every student. Now let's think about the word learning. Learning is not one thing. Neuroscience tells us that our brains have three broad networks. One for recognition, the what of learning, one for skills and strategies, the how of learning, and one for caring and prioritizing, the why of learning. Students need to gain knowledge, skills, and enthusiasm for learning, and a curriculum needs to help them do all three. But every learner is unique, and one size does not fit all. So how do we make a curriculum that challenges and engages diverse learners? This is where the word design comes in. A universally designed building is planned to be flexible and to accommodate all kinds of users, with and without disabilities. It turns out that if you design for those in the margin, your building works better for everyone. Curb cuts and ramps are used by people in wheelchairs, people with strollers, and people on bikes. Captioning on TV serves people who are deaf, people learning English, people in gyms, and spouses who get to sleep at different times. UDL takes this idea and applies it to the design of flexible curriculum. UDL goes beyond access because we need to build in support and challenge. So how do we use the UDL framework to make learning goals, methods, materials, and assessments that work for everyone? First, ask yourself, what is my goal? What do I want my students to know, do, and care about? Then ask, what barriers in the classroom might interfere with my diverse students' each of these goals? To eliminate the barriers, use the 3 UDL principles to create flexible paths to learning so that each student can progress. Number 1, provide multiple means of representation. Present content and information in multiple media and provide varied supports. Use graphics and animation, highlight the critical features, activate background knowledge, and support vocabulary so that students can acquire the knowledge being taught. Number 2, provide multiple means of action and expression. Give students plenty of options for expressing what they know and provide models, feedback, and supports for their different levels of proficiency. Number 3, provide multiple means of engagement. What fires up one student won't fire up another. Give students choices to fuel their interest in autonomy. Help them risk mistakes and learn from them. If they love learning, they will persist through challenges. And remember, always keep in mind the learning goal. get rid of barriers caused by the curriculum, and keep the challenge where it belongs. And that's it. Okay, quick recap. Show the information in different ways, allow your students to approach learning tasks and demonstrate what they know in different ways, and offer options that engage students and keep their interest. Universal design for learning equals learning opportunities for all. For more information on UDL, go to www.cast.org.
So just to recap, why do we need to make course material accessible? Like the video explained, it helps us reach a larger audience. It's definitely more cost effective because we're not retrofitting or providing a separate equal, like a separate accessible format and in a regular format. If you do it from the beginning, it's much more cost effective. It's legally required to meet legal compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and Section 508, which applies to anything that is electronic and information technology. And of course, it's the right thing to do to serve our students. Getting into the how to do it is a brief video on why accessibility matters, and it gives you some quick tips on how to create accessible course material. And I saw that there was background noise. I hope that you guys can hear this one okay. If not, please say something in the chat window.
Why do that? Well, it's not only a legal obligation of the university to make all of its resources available to everyone on an equal basis, but to offer the best education possible to all students. Faculty should explore universal design. When you follow universal design principles, it's good.
Hi, Demina. It looks like the sound went away. I think you muted your mic.
Oh, I thought you could still get the sound without my mic. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thanks.
Two, employing multiple means of action and expression. Online activities, discussion questions, and lesson plan assignments allow students to express their understanding in different ways. And third, multiple means of engagement. Text, audio, video, activities, additional resources, and links to other websites allow students multiple ways to engage with content. When using images in Word documents, web pages, and PDFs, add alternative text. Alt text allows users and teenagers the ability to know what the image is conveying. It also allows any user to hover over the image and read what the image is saying. When using videos, which you find online, make sure they're captioned. If you're creating your own multimedia, in order to ensure that everyone has access to video, captions should be provided. Simply using the automatic captioning in YouTube will more than likely create unreadable captions because the information will be inaccurate. But you can go in and edit the captions to ensure they're accurate. And using audio, providing a transcript to accompany those files will allow visual learners to get content in multiple modes, as well as help those students that can't hear the content. When creating Word documents, help yourself and others by using styles, which include headings. For example, heading 1 for your title and heading 2 for subtitles. Not only will this help your students navigate your documents, it will also help users or screen readers to navigate those documents. When you're ready to convert Word documents into PDFs, those headings will carry over and will start you in the path of creating accessible PDFs. If you're using software or apps and are unsure if they're accessible, consult an expert on campus. They will assist you in figuring out the appropriate steps. And if needed, they can help you create an equal, effective, alternate access plan. This will ensure that if you ever have a student in your class who has an accommodation request, you will not need to scramble and find an effective alternate solution. When thinking about equal and effective, consider what the learning outcomes are. Then think of solutions or alternatives that will allow the same learning outcomes to happen in a different way. These are just a few of the things that you can do that will help you follow sound universal design.
Okay, those were a few tips. And just to tell you a little bit about the process here at our department, many of you have been on the receiving end.
Adventures the Universal Design. Exterior of the house on Sunday.
I'm just having fun here today.
Meet Harry Normal. Harry is the father of the family.
One
He
moment.
is a stay-at-home dad. Meet Mary Normal. Mary.
Okay. So what we do every quarter, guys, is prior to every quarter, for accommodations, for any students that are registered with us that receive print or audio accommodations, we send out a faculty alert letter to all instructors for all of those classes, letting them know that there is a student enrolled that receives that accommodation. And we ask that when you get that notification, contact us immediately and we will work on you with providing the appropriate accommodation for them. Some accommodation examples are, as you see here, for on-ground, alternate textbook format and materials, alternate testing, which is like extra time on tests, alternate formats of tests, minimal distraction room, sometimes room alone, accessible furniture, note takers. Some students use video magnifiers or talking calculators, Braille keyboards and equipment, Braille formats, in-class interpreters, captioning, something that most of you are familiar with and have questions about today, transcription of video or podcasts and audio, and students are recording lectures with different types of audio devices, and sometimes students will ask instructors to accommodate them with hearing devices like FM systems, where they'll ask the instructor to wear the transmitter and the student will wear the receiver so that they can get an amplified sound from your lecture. And some examples of online accommodations are the same. In addition to knowing your LMS system, with Blackboard, you can provide extra time on tests. And if you're not sure how to do that, we can provide that support. And just think about adjustments to some of the tools online. Like a lot of students who are low vision or blind have some issues with working with chat and some issues with discussion boards. And sometimes they will need to have an accommodation of being able to submit their discussion via email instead of discussion board, depending on what type of assistive technology tools they have access to. So we're going to go just cover the most common types of course material that you should make sure are accessible. And pretty much with all of the technology we have today, it's pretty easy to do. The first would be the syllabus, any printed materials, your textbooks, and your course readers, and of course, multimedia. Making sure your syllabus is accessible. These are some questions you could ask yourself. Is it posted online? That's a biggie. Digital format, it just serves a variety of disabilities because assistive technology can access it. People with low vision can access it because they can magnify it. Did you include the ISBN number? I now am a returning student, and I have encountered this problem myself where the instructor will just post the name of a book and you end up with the wrong book, and it causes a lot of anxiety to students when they have to catch up and the chapters are not the same. Did you use an accessible format to create your syllabus? Making sure that your document is available and not just, I've seen syllabus in PDF where you cannot access it or read it with an assistive technology screen reader. So if it's in Word and Word multiple formats like RTF, TXT, it provides a multitude of accessibility for the widest variety of students. Did you include a statement? And I see pretty much everybody's doing this because it's part of the template in the LMS, including a statement regarding self-identification and support for students with disabilities. And
I'm sorry, do you mind if we have a question. What do you mean by true style?
I'm going to go over that in a couple of slides.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And the most problematic type of document that we incur as being accessible, especially with like the library databases and some instructors using like articles that they've held onto for many years that are degraded, are PDF files. Sometimes they're just scanned images, and if they're just a scanned image, if someone's using a screen reader, it's just going to read as a blank file. So the best way to tell, well, one of the quickest ways to tell if your PDF is accessible is you can just use the free Adobe Acrobat Reader and click on Edit Accessibility, Quick Check, and it'll tell you the document appears to contain no text. It may be a scanned image. Or it'll tell you No accessibility problems were detected in this quick check, and then you know you're good to go. So this is where styles is going to come up shortly. Some of the best ways to provide an accessible PDF are you can convert that PDF to a Word doc. You can convert it to an accessible PDF file, which sometimes can still be problematic because you have to still do a lot of cleaning up with that. You can create it accessible from the point of origin, and that's what we want to happen. Or in like first cases, you can submit to us for processing, and then we'll do it like the first couple of times with the understanding that we're teaching you to do it for yourself in the long run. Most campus computers are equipped with Adobe Acrobat Professional, which is different from Adobe Acrobat Reader, which allows you to do many things as far as making your PDF accessible. The quickest thing, like I mentioned before, is you could create an accessible Word doc just by opening your PDF in Adobe Acrobat Pro and then saving it as a Word document. When you have a hard copy of something that you want to get to an accessible format, using Adobe Acrobat Pro again, scan it, and just make sure you select, as you see on the right, Documents. Because if it goes to the default image, that's what's going to read as a blank file. So I talked earlier about styles. Creating an accessible Word doc. These are some key points to remember. You want to use styles, describe images, be careful with formatting of tables. One second. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, okay. And use descriptive hyperlinks. So when applying styles, basically Word has some built-in pre-formatted styles that you see in that ribbon that's down there on the left bottom. And screen readers, when assistive technology screen readers, a lot of students that are blind, have learning disabilities, and have low vision use assistive technology called screen readers. And what they do is they read any text on screen out loud, so that student has access to that which they can't see or process adequately. So styles are read by screen readers in the order that they are identified. So if you use styles to label a heading, heading 1, heading 2, that's how the screen reader is going to navigate that document so that the student reads the document in the correct order. And here is a video showing someone actually applying styles.
Meet Annie is the mother of the family. She is a manager in the local supermarket. Meet PJ Normal. PJ is the baby of the
I'm just
family.
having a great time with my
Meet Betty Normal.
videos today. It's still showing something different. Sorry, guys.
She has arthritis and has lately experienced mild hearing and vision loss. But she is very active and uses a cane to get around. She loves to play the Wii regularly with her grandkids. Meet Susie Normal. Susie is 18 years old. She is going to college. She is rarely seen without her iPod and guitar. Meet Johnny Normal. Johnny is 10 years old, uses a wheelchair, and loves history and music.
Family enter the house.
Today will be a treat, as Betty is bringing the family for a pizza. First, we need to get the bus, so let's check the bus times.
The volume is very low. Can you guys hear that okay?
I can't really hear it, Damina.
I'm having a multimedia nightmare. And it's as loud as it'll go.
Next to your microphone button, do you see like a little upward arrow caret? If you click on that, it gives you some, like you can select your microphone and your speakers.
Audio.
I'm wondering if there's a different speaker option.
That's what I'm looking for, and I don't see it. I have the one on my computer turned all the way up. I have the one on YouTube turned all the way up.
In the Zoom window, do you see where it said where you can like mute yourself?
Right.
Next to it, there's a little looks like an upwards arrow. You click on that, it gives you options to select a speaker. Do you have any additional options? Or is there only one option?
No, right now I'm only getting mute.
Okay.
And I'm looking at my audio options now, and it just shows to test computer audio. Oh, there. In the test, I can adjust the volume. Let me know if it's getting louder.
Are you playing a video right now?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, I can't hear it.
I'm adjusting the mic.
Okay.
Acting weird. Am I having fun with this computer? Okay, it's all the way up. Let me know.
Damina, there's a lot of feedback.
And it's really quiet in here. I don't know what's going on. It's not any louder. And the light's all the way up.
Just go back to settings and skip this one.
Okay. We're going to skip this video, guys, but we can share a presentation with you afterwards, so make sure you go back on and give, take a look at that one, because it gives some really good examples about actually applying heading styles using Microsoft Word. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you. I don't know why the sound quality changed so drastically though.
And see, Cheryl, that's why I tested with you guys earlier, because I've been having microphone problems, and I switched mics twice, and it was fine when we tested, but I don't know what has happened.
Yeah, it was fine earlier, and then all of a sudden on this even earlier in this webinar, it was okay, and then you switched microphones?
No, I didn't switch since we've been on.
Okay, yeah, because it was fine even just earlier. It was just right now, all of a sudden, it's going to want more feedback.
I'm going to kind of lower it just a little. Girl was turning the mic down, so maybe it being up too high has made it worse.
Yeah, maybe lower it a little bit.
And like she said, that video is really good on showing how to apply styles. I find a lot of instructors and don't know about that. So anything that you see that we've had technical difficulties with, which is almost everything, let me know and we will email you everything. Okay. So also, and the rest of this part is manual, thank goodness. The next thing would be to make sure that any pictures, any graphics that convey meaning have descriptions, which are called alternate text.
Damina, can you change the settings back to how you had it before?
Okay. Go into the microphone on Zoom. I went to audio. Then I turned it all the way up. How's that sound?
That sounds better.
Okay, now it's back low like it was before. I don't know, this thing is goofy. Okay, guys. So like I was saying, all you have to do in Microsoft applications is to, Microsoft Office applications is to right click on the picture and then select format picture and then type in your description of the image. Like you see here, I just right clicked on that image and I got the format picture box and I clicked on alt text. And I grabbed this image from the web, so I don't really like the description that they use, which is not very descriptive. I would have actually typed in all the dialogue if the dialogue was meant to convey meaning to the student. And here are some best practices for formatting tables and columns. Don't use the draw a table tool in Word, or don't do as so many people do, space over or tab over. You need to use Microsoft Word's insert table feature and keep it simple. Same thing with columns. Don't tab over, because screen readers normally read left to right, right to bottom, and if you use the column feature, it will, or table feature, it'll override it and allow the information to be read in the proper format. Also, when using hyperlinks, make sure that they're descriptive. I know we see a lot of times people will just put in like click here. Well, someone that can't see doesn't know where here is. So if you describe the link, they know to click that link, as you see here in this example. And the best practice is just to type the link in full. It's more helpful and descriptive. And last but not least, you can run the accessibility checker in Microsoft applications. So after you go through all these processes, creating the accessible tables, incorporating styles, formatting your columns, tagging your graphics, go ahead and click File, Info, Check Accessibility, and it will check your Microsoft Word document for any accessibility errors. In this case, it checked my Eiffel Tower picture because there was no description. So I would have typed in to, you see the, I don't know if it's too small for you to read, and we'll make this presentation available after, but it shows that it needs alt text. So I would have typed in, this is a picture of the Eiffel Tower. Then you can just go ahead and save that document as an accessible Word or PDF file. And that's how you would get to an accessible PDF file from a Word document. Here's some additional tips for document formatting. Try to make it available in as many formats as possible, because some students don't have access to Microsoft Office. They have like document viewers or Notepad. So if you provide HTML, RTF, and TXT files, it will serve a more variety of people. Try to use, if anything's in a hard copy, a font size of at least 12, and avoid using decorative fonts like Script. Using plain fonts without the curly cues, like Open Dyslexic or Arial, are best practice. When designing material, try to provide sufficient contrast, and we talked about columns and tables. Don't use color to convey meaning. Also, I forgot to mention that earlier, is that if you're going to have a long document, it's best to use a table of contents, not just for screen readers, but for all users overall. And then the fun one, audio-visual course material. If you're going to be using any videos, YouTube clips, podcasts, online lectures, please, please, please make sure that they're captioned. I would check first to see if there's a captioned version available. Netflix is pretty good about captioning most of their material, as they were in a lawsuit not too long ago. And YouTube has a closed captioning feature, but if you've ever used it, you'll notice that they're lots of times very inaccurate, but at least they're a starting point. Lots of times we will just grab those and then edit them. And if you're in a pinch, English subtitles work. Also, you could have for any podcast or any straight audio material, having a transcript available is great. And then last but not least, just allow extra time for viewing, because English is a second language for many deaf, hard of hearing individuals, and there are delays in language development. For captioning, and you will notice this when we send out our faculty alert letters, we tell you about this process in great detail, that you can submit a service desk to us on the service desk at Assistive Technology, and we can get the video processed for you, but we need at least a 2-week turnaround.
Damina,
Sure.
I have a couple questions. First, where to find the Open Dyslexic font?
That is in Microsoft Word.
Microsoft Word. Okay. And then, how can instructors check on captioning requests?
What do you mean by check on captioning?
NITI had submitted one on January 13th to Assistive Technology.
On the service desk?
I believe so.
Because if it's a ticket, the ticket should be updated, but also just call us or email us and we can check.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. A lot of people don't know about audio description. It's becoming more and more common, especially in movie theaters. What it is an additional track on videos now where it has all of the dialogue that's not actually in the script. I mean, things like nuances, like the scenery changes or someone slams a door, so that a blind or low vision individual would still get all of that information. So this is something I ask instructors to check for also. When you check for CC, check to see if it has AD. It helps you serve a wider audience again. And then also for videos in class, it's great to allow the student that is low vision or blind extra time for viewing, because they can hear it, but they can't take in all of the information that all the other students are taking in. Next, Coco is up, and she's going to tell you about the accessible course material process regarding the textbooks and course readers.
So, yes, designing your class to be universally designed and to be accessible is very important, but it also starts with before the quarter starts, when you're announcing your adoption for the next quarter. The reason we'll kind of talk about why that is so important and the timelines that students actually experience when they're making accessible media requests, and how that not only affects their accommodation, but can affect their coursework, their ability to purchase items, and sometimes, most often, how they do in your class. So general best practice, declare your textbooks early. There are a bunch of policies online, and this is not updated, but I'm happy to send you the policy that President Morishita actually reauthorized this academic year. And to kind of give you an example of like how our deadlines are set, we work very closely with the Associate Provost, Linda Dobb, as well as the bookstore and our director, Dr. Katie Brown, to establish the adoption deadlines about 6 to 8 weeks prior to the start of each quarter. So you may see some emails from the textbook adoption managers. I know now there is a big announcement on Blackboard for the eFollett adoption tool. That's really great, and I want you guys to just be cognizant of how early those are. So this was spring. I know for winter quarter or spring 2017, sorry, rewards due date was January 30th. So the rewards due date means you get free coffee for a quarter from the bookstore, so I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. The adoption due date for the upcoming quarter is actually going to be February 6th, so there is still time for faculty to definitely get that in. It's not a hard deadline where if you miss it, they're not going to accept your adoption and you're expected not to use anything, but it does pose a huge problem to students that possibly may be in your class that need accommodations. So why is that textbook adoption so important? Just like Americans with Disability Act and our Assistive Technology Initiative here at Cal State East Bay and the CSU system, it's legally mandated. Students should have access to their course materials or information about their course materials at time of enrollment. And that helps students plan just how costly their quarter might be. Tuition is, for the most part, a standard rate, but maybe one section offers 3 books while another is going to use free resources through the library. That can factor in to the student's decision to ultimately enroll in that class. It also gives accessibility services, which is our office, and specifically accessible media, which is my program, the lead time that we need to convert the textbooks into the student's desired format and have enough time to get those files to them before the start of the quarter. So we are staff-based. We're here over all of the quarter breaks, and we're continuously working to try to release items to students before the term starts. Once it starts, as you know, we're a quarter system. Requests do tend to get backed up, and if a student submits a request the day one of classes because the instructor announces or finally releases the syllabus on day one, we might not even be able to get the student files until midterms time. That's too significant for the student, and ultimately they end up kind of shortcutting and then asking instructors for a lot of extensions, which is totally within their right, but it just becomes a little bit more tedious for everybody. So this is kind of a live example about those timelines and how they look. So the adoption deadline was actually supposed to be for winter. Was supposed to be back in October 31st. There were some issues with Blackboard and ePaulette. I know faculty weren't able to submit their adoptions through Blackboard, so it actually got pushed back 1 week. The good and bad thing about that is the adoptions were due the same day that the schedule went live to students. So that then gave students no time to plan and look and review all of the courses and options available for them to ultimately decide, one, their class schedule, and two, any costs associated with that. So same day, November 7th, priority registration opened. Priority enrollment is an accommodation that all students that require accessible media are granted. Again, we try to give them as much lead time as they need to prepare to get us that information and give us enough time to convert items. The second enrollment period was on the 17th, and my priority deadline was the end of November. So that gave students about a little over 2 weeks to plan their classes, look for all of the textbook information, and then submit it to my office. Quarter started on January 1st, so that gave us a little bit less than 6 working weeks to fulfill all priority requests. I know all those numbers kind of don't mean very much. It's a timeline, but what did that actually look like? We did about 390 textbooks for 100 plus students that were priority in 6 weeks. That was before the start of classes. Once classes begun, I am now at about 600 textbook requests for over 130 students. I don't have a figure of how many classes that applies to or section numbers, but it's from everything from remediated classes up through graduate studies and specialized programs. So a little bit about why our production timeline is so sensitive. And if there's questions, feel free to stop me after this next slide and we can talk about that. Essentially, when a student submits their request, I have to secure permissions and gather the electronic text file in any way that we can. There are a number of really, really great ways that we do that. We are fortunate enough to have an inventory of now about 5,000 holdings. And this is from past items that we've converted for students, things that are ongoing. We also have access to the CSU Center for Accessible Media. That's my colleagues that update their holdings from every quarter or every semester, and we can transfer files between universities. There are a number of national databases that we are members of and we have access to. The biggest is Access Tech Network. That is 16 major higher ed publishers, your W.W. Norton, your Wiley, your Cengage, your Wadsworth publishers, and they've been really great and makes that request process very quick. Lastly, I can request files directly from the publisher. That becomes a little bit more tedious because they're working with institutions from across the nation and it can be significantly delayed rather than ordering it from a database. If all of those options aren't fruitful, I scan in the student's copy. That means it's out of the student's hands for about 48 hours so that we can scan it in and work with duplicating services on campus to reassemble the book for the student. It's a pretty quick process, but if you can imagine 2 days within a regular week during the quarter, that's 2 classes they might have, or 1 class and possibly a discussion board that they might miss because they don't have the physical book with them. It does get a little bit delayed if we have to do that option. Of course, I try to exhaust all of my resource before I present that to the student, and it ultimately is the student's decision to let us do that. Once we have that base file in, we make a commitment to turn around accessible formats in approximately 10 business days. That's pretty standard. Think of your simple layouts, your novels that maybe have a page header and a page number, but otherwise single column, no images, no tables. Those are our standard production. When we start to get into STEM materials, especially our computer science, our engineering, any math related, and our chemistry and biology, those take a little bit longer because we have to make sure that the format we're creating is translating all of that specialized language appropriately. And the one that always takes the longest are our course readers. If it's a course reader that's produced through our university or through the bookstore, those are actually really great quality, and we can get those done like a normal book. But if it's something that we purchase off campus where every new section is switching the layout direction, maybe there's some bleed on the pages from Xeroxing pages, from graduate study days, those are the ones that we take the longest and unfortunately are the hardest to convert for students and, significantly delay them. So before I move on, are there any questions so far? That's a lot.
There weren't any questions about the textbook. You're part of the presentation, Coco. I did have a question for Damina about captioning, but I wasn't sure if now was the time to ask or if Damina wanted to wait until the end for Q&A.
I'm gonna wait to the end, thanks.
Okay, no problem.
So moving forward, this is really cluttered, but to kind of give you an example, this is our basic production timeline, and you notice none of this can get done unless we have the adoption of information available to the student. So think the student is going in to enroll for their classes on MyCSU. When they select the course or the section number that corresponds to the course they are enrolled in, there is a ViewBooks link. That link is the only way that students can access their information during registration. So we actually try to have adoptions up and give the bookstore enough time to do their research, how many, the quantity to order for your class, the logistics of whether we're going to do hardcover, softcover, or offer an ebook version and all of that. Once they get that squared away and that information is available to the student should no longer have to wait for your syllabus to be up. It is best practice to put your syllabus up as early as possible for students that need to take that extra time before the quarter starts to really plan out their academics and their week-to-week schedules. But the student should also have access to that way in advance. And if you notice adoption information available to the student, no. What happens then? I'm going to get in contact with you or the department and continue to follow up week to week. Sometimes, often actually, I get a really good response from that. It's usually new faculty members that maybe weren't aware of the adoption, or they just got assigned very last minute to that class, so they're doing a little bit of tweaks to their syllabus before they announce what that book is going to be. But sometimes, and this happens for fall quarter, since students are allowed to enroll at the end of spring, faculty go on vacation. And then we have to ask your chair, well, what book do you think that this professor will use? Well, I don't know. Let's try to get in contact. And the further that we go to actually track down the information is longer time taken away from converting the materials to the student. Ultimately, once I get in that information, it goes back to the start and I have to do the research process for the student to even get the files in. So imagine over summer, I send a notification to you that I have a student enrolled in your class that needs accessible format. Please let me know what kind of materials you think you're going to use. You take a well-deserved vacation and maybe don't see my email until the end of July. That means I'm ordering files from a publisher or database early August. Takes a few weeks for them to come in. We start editing beginning of September, and then before you know it, week 3 of September, we start classes, and I only have a few files ready for the student. Then there's a little bit of anxiety that the students experience because they submitted their part back in May. So what's really the holdup? So I can send this. There's a newer version that actually explains a little bit more about our production time, and I'm happy to send those to anyone who wants them offline. And then I want to show you a little bit about what accessible format looks like to students. So we have a number of formats that we give. We give 4 general formats, which I would say 80% or more of our students with this accommodation receive, and then 4 specialized formats. The first is PDF documents. We give accessible PDF documents primarily to students that have mobility accommodations. It takes the stress away from carrying around multiple and very heavy textbooks. The second is Kurzweil, which is our most used. It is a text-to-speech software. Students can adjust on their own their reading voice and speed, reading focus or the zoom, and apply different contrast settings that best suit their needs. With this software, they can also make digital notes, and they can perform brainstorms for papers and actually word processing. So this image on the right is a part of the editing for that Kurzweil software. My editors will go in and assign reading orders starting with the page number, main body text, and then add in secondary or ancillary information that the student may not get quizzed on, but they definitely want to read and keep in mind. This next overview, so that first one back there with the yellow squares, that's our reading order. Second is the underlining text. We actually go in and we confirm that that software reads appropriately. So if you see here, I've highlighted the caret symbol next to figure 16.3, and the computer is reading that as -A period. So we go in and we make the changes so that the system reads it appropriately to the student. I can see another one here that I didn't highlight. It says -F-301 million persons. And where that is on the page, let's see where that is. Oh, we can't see it, it's out of the viewing area, but it's probably with some sort of digit or number. The next formats we offer are audio or MP3. We do create those with that Kurzweil 3000 software, but it is specific to the student's preferred speed and voice preferences. I have some examples. They didn't carry over in this PowerPoint, but when we send them out to you at the end, feel free to click on them. It's from a Management 3614 adoption, organizational behavior. This is something that's used quarter to quarter, so thankfully for that faculty member that reuses that adoption, we have files ready to go when that's ordered from a student. And I just give some examples about what those audio files sound like. A male voice at 130 words per minute, and then a female voice at a little bit of a quicker speed. The last formats we provide, the last 2, Word documents. So these are those accessible Microsoft Office documents. These are most used for students with visual limitations, low vision, or blindness. And we do offer, this should be updated, but we offer actually just 2. Edited, which is an exact copy, an exact replica of what the hard copy book looks like. And then a clean or formatted doc. What that is it has those applied heading styles. It has appropriately formatted tables. It has appropriately formatted images with the most descriptive alt text as possible. They are fully screen reader accessible. As you can imagine, those are the ones that take the longest for us to produce. For all other formats, we're producing only the chapter content, whereas for these Word document files, we're going cover to cover in the book. We never know when those students may need to reference, cite something in an SAT or on homework assignment, and they need access to the front matter of the book or possibly the glossary and the indexes. So this was an example of, we had an Italian student, and this is what we converted for them. As you can tell, their workbook was very graphic heavy, very color coded, very hard to read for myself, even as a sighted person. There's not enough contrast here. I don't know what logical order this list and this numbering is going in. What we transferred it to here is just a very plain text, plain layout with the same information on there for the student. Our last format, and this is very specialized, is we are able to create Braille, both print and music, in-house. It says outsourced, and that's part of it, but I am Braille certified now, so if you also have questions about Braille, maybe labeling in your office or something you notice isn't accessible in a building you frequent, please give me a call. But they are done partially in-house. We will scan a document and put it through optical character recognition, or that reading order and double checking the text line. And then we send to vendors just to verify and proofread it. We can also do very smaller handouts with our Braille embosser in-house, which we just got fixed, so that's why this is a little outdated. We're going to update it, and we can actually produce a little more quantity. That's for print. This is an example of a music piece that we did fall 2014. It was for an applied music major student. We had partial editors in office recognizing the music and creating a digital form, and then we went ahead and sent it out to a vendor to proofread and emboss it for us. So how is all of this done? I am a full-time coordinator here. This is a little outdated. I now have 18 part-time student assistants. They work through midterms and finals and quarter breaks. They range from undergraduate to graduate and doctorate level student assistants, ranging all disciplines depending on what the need of our student requests are. These student assistants also double as proctors for accessible testing. So Damina mentioned that is another way of accommodating an on-ground or an online course. Well, my guys are the guys that actually deliver those exams and help monitor them when the students are getting done. They are trained through our whole office. This is an updated image. We are now actually in the lower mall of the library right across from Starbucks, so feel free to come visit us. This is when we were down in the basement near duplicating services. So lastly, I just wanted to touch quickly on course readers. It is a sensitive topic with faculty and definitely myself due to the delay it gives in accommodations to students. But I want you to know you have options. Both East Bay Duplicating Services and the Pioneer Bookstore with LAD Custom Publishing have options for creating custom course readers. For East Bay, they do not clear copyright, so you would need to gather all the copyright information for each of the articles or sections that you're referencing. Get that cleared before you submit it to them. What they will do is they'll do a quick accessibility check. They'll clean and align the pages, especially if there's any bleed from your original copies, and they'll make sure that it looks nice and uniform the whole way through. They also have the capability of digitizing, which is really, really great. It saves me time from taking it away from the student to scan in, but it's also very quick to fulfill. Oftentimes the digital copies are clear enough that when we put them into the software that needs editing, 80% of our job is already done, and we're doing spot checks, which happen quicker. If you want to go the other route, Pioneer Bookstore does work with LAD Custom Publishing. They will clear your copyright, do an accessible copy, and digitize it. The great thing about that is they keep it on hold. So let's say you teach this class once a year. Every fall you need to redo or reproduce your course reader. They keep a digital master copy, and it's really easy to get it printed out and available to students. Hard copy in the bookstore, if that's what you choose, right away. I think their turnaround time is less than 10 days, which is fantastic. There are some options off campus that I personally do not recommend, but if that's what you need to do, that's fine. I would just recommend when you go to these outside vendors, CopyMat or Copy Pacific and Hayward specifically, ask them to digitize your text as they're creating the copy. And then let them know someone from campus might call you to release it. I give an okay to release it to accessibility services. It clears up a lot of back and forth, especially if you leave and go on your vacation, that I can still get the file from someone here in the area. So that's a little bit about accessible media. Before I turn it back over to Damina, do you guys have any questions about that?
No questions have come in.
That was just like the tips for applying universal design for learning to the course textbook and course reader adoptions, or just to recap what Coco was saying, make sure to adopt textbooks on time. If possible, retain the same textbook edition, and look for books that come in a variety of formats like electronic, digital books, and audiobooks. If I had to pick a top 10 list, these would be they. Adopt textbooks on time, provide accessible course readers, provide digital versions of all printed material. Make sure that all docs, PDFs are accessible. Make sure to have descriptions of any images or graphics that convey meaning. Include an accommodation statement in your syllabus. Provide captions and subtitles and transcripts for all audiovisual material. If using external websites and databases, make sure to check them to make sure that they're valid links and that they are accessible. And then post all accessible course material to a centralized location, idealistically our LMS Blackboard, which was certified an award by the National Federation for the Blind to be the most accessible learning management system. And just remember that we're here to help. We can provide all of these, absolutely all of these supports, review of your course content for accessibility. We can get access to your course as course builders and go in and review content and make recommendations. We provide captioning services, course material conversion. We used to provide software for course material conversion, but mainstream software has become so accessible that most of the tools you have on your desktop will do that. And course reader conversion. And now I was gonna provide a takeaway. I will email it to you later because of how things have been going with this presentation. It's a one sheet on quick tips and additional tips on how you can tell if your documents are accessible and what to do. Go ahead with the questions.
Hi, Tamina. So Lisa had a quick question about ebooks, which often are not the same page number as hard copies. What would be the best way to address this?
I would say, I mean, where I would think the problem would be is if a faculty member references a specific page. The way that you would do this is similar to reproducings or reprintings of plays. You usually would see, you know, Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. We want you to read the section, scene 1, act 1, and then maybe a line reference or a paragraph reference. So what I would say is each ebook, they still have a navigation or a table of contents, and that might be broken down by the heading structure. Is you would say, we want you to read not all of section 1, but maybe 1A through 1C, and then just the review questions at the end of the the chapter. Another thing that you can do is place the hard copy on reserve in the library. That way students can't physically take it out. It's still available, I believe, 2-hour rentals for students in your class. But if I need to I don't typically have all of the hard copies, I can always go in there and just review it and make sure that we're doing the appropriate sections for the student, especially if they have the ebook copy, which can be a little bit trickier.
Okay. Lisa said that she's found that ebooks, and actually, since this is the Q&A part, should I just promote everyone to a panelist so they can ask you? And
Yes.
more? Yeah, okay, hold on. So Lisa and Nidhi, you're gonna be given permission to speak on the webinar, so just give it a moment. It's gonna kind of blink on you for a little bit. Okay, and here we go. There you are. Okay. So if you want to unmute your mics, Nidhi and Lisa, right now you're currently muted, both of you. Okay, perfect. So Lisa had written in the chat that she was finding that the physical and ebook chapters don't align.
Hello.
Let's turn our video on so you can see us.
I noticed with the Kindle that they've now added the page feature.
It ultimately depends on where the ebook is from. I noticed publisher created ebooks are unfortunately the most tricky because they lock them down to their specific proprietary software to read. So Cengage, if a student buys an ebook from Cengage, they need to log on to that platform and read it there only. What I will do is request a complimentary hard copy of the book and work with the publisher to see, is it an exact reproduction? What content did you happen to take out for whatever convenience they think on the ebook? And is it okay if I replicate that hard copy instead for the student? It depends. I would also say if you're requesting I don't know what they're called, an examiner's copy when you're reviewing your adoptions, to maybe ask for the hard copy. I know from my students in particular, they do not like to use the ebook options, although it is more cost efficient and should be an option for all students. My students happen to tend to buy the hard copy at the end of the day, regardless of the price.
I found that I buy the hard copy and then students get the ebook, and then they're saying that it's not matching up, and I suggest that they borrow or look at someone's, hard copy. But I also have stopped putting page numbers as well, and I do put the chapters, but then some students have shown me that even the chapters don't align, even when I put the ISBN number, because I'm always concerned maybe they're not getting the same exact book. The ISBN number is not matching, but it seems like there are some things that aren't aligning between ebooks and hard books. So I was just, thank you. Yeah.
I would also just recommend, it never hurts to put a disclaimer in your syllabus that says, I recommend you purchase this exact hard copy.
Yeah.
I understand that it's cheaper on those ones, but the student is ultimately still responsible for getting that reading done, because that's your right as a faculty member to design your course according to that hard copy you've gotten from the publisher.
Right. Yeah, no, I have something.
The instructors will provide alternate readings. Like if a lot of us bought the wrong book because there was no ISBN number. So she said, well, if you got this version, just read these 2 chapters, and I'll accept either. You know what I mean? So it's just requires a little bit of flexibility because it's hard to get everything head on.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cheryl, can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nidhi. Thank you for the webinar. And hi, Lisa. We exchange emails. I don't think we've ever seen each other before. I had 2 questions. Both relate to captioning online videos, especially videos through websites such as YouTube. So the first one was, if I want to make a request through the accessibility office, what's the best way to do it? I sent a request directly to Domina on January 13, and I got an auto response that said there's a high backlog and will take 48 hours to get back to you. And so during this webinar, I resent that request and I got the same auto response. So is there an alternative way to request captioning through the office? So that's question 1.
Captioning is supposed to go through the service stuff. It sounds like a wind tunnel is happening. I see what you guys mean now.
What is happening? Sorry?
It's like wind is going through the microphone or something. But
The sound. Yeah.
We have a portal, the service desk,
Okay.
and I can send you the detailed instruction on how to do that. I send that out usually with the faculty alert. Coco's going to pull it up. The faculty alert letters, but you just go to the service desk, and under assistive technology, there's a captioning request. But Nidhi, I apologize. I have to check my email because I don't remember receiving that from you. I do get a lot of emails, and normally if I get a captioning request, I forward it to my student assistant or my office assistant to process, and they will put it in for you. So that could be happening. What class is this for?
This is for HSC 3800, Multicultural Issues in Healthcare.
Okay.
So I have it up on CSU East Bay. When you go to your new webpage, you want to go to the menu and click on the staff under University Resources.
Okay.
This will bring you to our not so new webpage, but they have booked it for you right here, staff tools. You want to go ahead and enter service desk. And then you want to enter ticket.
Okay.
And I'll walk you through this so you actually see it. It might look a little bit different from my end because I am.
Yeah, I've used the service desk before.
Okay. So from that menu, that might be a better option. From the menu, you can go to captioning under the A to Z menu and submit captioning requests. And there are 2 options. I believe one says accessibility captioning.
Okay.
And then you just want to make sure that it says send to, and it has Damina's name. It'll send it to her team.
Okay.
The thing about service desk is you have that workflow tracking. You can see when it's picked up, when they're working on it, and then all the correspondence can be put into that one location.
Okay, so I'll do that.
And Nidhi, did you receive a letter from me that there was a student enrolled in your course that required a captioning accommodation?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Did you receive a letter from me prior to the quarter saying that there was a student enrolled in your course that required it?
No, I just wanted to make it accessible, even though I did not require it for a particular student.
That is awesome. Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'll make sure you get the information. I'll send you the instruction in addition to what you just saw.
That'll be great. Thank you. And my second question is on the same topic, but it relates to something called Caption Sync. So I had sent an email to Lana Woods, who's our liaison for health sciences and nursing, and asked about captioning the same YouTube videos after I sent the request to you. And she said that there is something called Caption Sync, and CSU has an institutional membership to it. But when I tried to use that system, it said there might be a charge. And then I made a further inquiry who pays for it. And I've sent that email to Cheryl, and Cheryl might have sent it back to you, Domina. So in that it said, oh, it's either the library or it's the department who's on the line. So I'm still not clear. Like, I don't want to go ahead and
I'm so sorry, Mason.
request something, not knowing, like, I don't want my department to be like, this is coming out of your salary check because we're not paying for it. So it'd be good to know, like, you know, who pays for it and what's the system to use Caption Sync, and should we
We
use
pay
it?
for it. We pay for it. It comes out of our budget. And
Okay.
it's all done through the service desk. The way it works, Nidhi, is that once you submit that ticket,
Uh-huh.
it goes in a variety of ways. First, if it's something that's 5 minutes or less, my student assistant team will caption it. If it's a big job, it goes on to what was formerly the Media and Academic Technology Services Department, which is like, I don't know if you know Glenn, Brewster, and Donna, that group.
I have heard of Glenn. I think because Cheryl mentioned that him in a email she just sent to me.
Okay, so
I'm
then,
not sure I know of him. I'm sorry, I'm new faculty. I joined in September, so I'm still learning the systems around.
Welcome.
okay, you're being more proactive. I love that. So,
Thank you.
you know, so then if it goes off to them, then they make a determination. I'm not sure what their workflow is, but they make some determination as to what they can do in-house and what they send off to automatic sync. And that's the
Okay.
system-wide contract that we have, that we get this institutional discount. So only like certain people can submit to get that. So it has to go through that service desk portal.
Okay. All right. So I should not mess with Caption Sync on my own. I should just put in a service desk ticket, and then the relevant people will take care of it.
Exactly.
Okay, good. So for this current request, should I submit a ticket now? Because it's been forwarded to you, I believe, by Cheryl. This was the Jan 13 request for deadly deception video. It's long, it's over an hour.
Can you let me first go through just to make sure it's not already in there? And then
Sure.
I'll let you know what I find.
Yeah.
Okay,
Denise, I'm gonna forward you the email right now.
thank you. And it's Nidhi Khosla.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Those were my questions. And I guess you'll be sharing a copy of the presentation, right? So we can recall how to check documents for accessibility.
And I just want to ask you both a question. We do have a tentative planned training or hands-on workshop to actually remediate your own documents. We were thinking of doing a hands-on to remediate syllabus, because that's something, you know, it's in every class, and I think a lot of faculty would have benefit for that.
Right,
Is
and
that
you can do the styles and the whole
yeah,
thing.
and we would show you how to do apply the styles, create accessible tables.
Yes.
Would that be something you both would be interested in?
I would be super interested. I, until this workshop, did not know that you could check documents for accessibility. I know when I sometimes have PDF documents, it says it's a scanned image. Do you want to like run the OCR check? And I say yes. And I use it only for highlighting material on the PDF. I never realized that it actually had actual accessibility issues for students or like for any reader. So yes, I think that would be super helpful.
Okay. So you might see some, we'll keep your names there and we'll send a personal invite, but you might see something within the next quarter or two. And I definitely think it's something, if you feel comfortable, to invite other colleagues in your department or your college, let them know it's more of a hands-on training, because we do this checklist pretty often and we always get different faculty, but we're starting new ways to follow up and get you guys some actual training in person.
Yeah, and on that count, even training on how to caption your own videos. I know we can go one-on-one, and I keep bugging Cheryl with multiple requests in a week, but it'll be nice to have like a, hands-on workshop for folks who want to learn how to caption your videos.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, right now I'm teaching all online classes. So, but I would be certainly, if it's a day I could come in, I would be very interested also.
We might try to host it as a double, an in-person and the filmed webinar to see follow up if you're not on campus.
I'm familiar with Kurzweil. I'm familiar with a lot of the dyslexia.
Oh yeah, Lisa's tried a lot of our software.
I was actually going to ask, how does Smart Pens fit into all this?
Oh, the students use them to record your lectures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Use a what?
To get into the picture.
I was trying to hide. And you should. Have you used one before, Lisa?
You actually showed me a couple of years ago how to use one, and
yeah, they are.
I've never actually used one myself. I would love to borrow one and try it out so I know what the experience is like, if that's possible.
Yes, you can.
But I also wanted to ask also how it would apply to like online, or I know in person, they can record them and then they can click on the paper and then it will replay the materials back. But yeah.
Students don't usually use them in the online courses. They're more so for the lecture-based courses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When mostly students that have like dyslexia or auditory processing deficit, where they can't really keep up with what's being said, or English second language learners, and it's really good because, or especially with like ADD, you're not paying attention to everything that's going on, but you can go back and play everything back. You can slow down the speech, get everything that was being said, upload it to your computer if you learn better that way, and read it on your computer. It's really been an invaluable tool for a lot of our students. And we have another application similar to it now that's called Sonocent. It operates the same way, but it's actually an application that you can put on your smartphone or laptop and take notes that way. So if you're more inclined to type your notes, you can just hit the record button. It will record everything that's being said while you're typing your notes. And you can tag things as important, like there will be a color, red is important, yellow's not important. And you will have all of that information there on your computer.
What's it called?
It's a Smart Pen, but it's more of a, oh, thank you.
I'm adding it to the chat window, Stephen.
Oh, it's Note Taker. Yeah, Google. I have found Google Read and Write to be quite amazing also, even though it's not designated as a disability software. I think it's pretty amazing what it does.
So they actually do, they partner with the vendor that has Read and Write Gold, which is very similar to Kurzweil, the speech and dictation. But I agree, their toolbar on Google is really great for on-the-go.
Amazing.
Things. Yeah.
They even have a Speak It, Google Speak It with voice recognition that works pretty good.
Yeah, and you can take notes. You can do little tab things. I mean, there's so much that you can do on it. I mean, and it also has an interesting history. You probably know the person who started it actually started it for his father who had a stroke.
No, I didn't know that.
Trying to figure out a way to communicate with his father. So again, even though it's not designated disability software, it's really been quite, amazing. Yeah. I found it to be much, much better than some of the other softwares out there.
You're making me think that we need to have like a day where, to invite faculty over to kind of play with some tools.
Yes.
When Nidhi was talking, I thought about like some self-service captioning tools that we have. Like one is called Amara, which is free, and Overstream is free. For short video, YouTube videos, it's very easy to caption your own with these applications. So that's something else that'll be coming.
Okay. The Sonocent, how do you get the Sonocent?
We can send you the link to download it.
Okay.
And then we'll activate you.
Okay, that would be great. I would love to.
Do it while you can, because we talked them into a free trial for the quarter, and hopefully we'll be able to buy it by next quarter.
Okay, thanks. I would love that.
Okay, I'll send you that.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. I also have another question. I'm very familiar with Civil Rights ADA 504. This is a little political question. If we have a new Department of Education person who doesn't even know that
Don't even get me started.
ADA is a civil rights law, what's going to happen at Cal State East Bay to disability resources? Quiet.
I know. I mean, I'm hoping we're not impacted. I
I'm worried.
know.
I'm super worried.
I know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, funding won't change.
Because I feel like you guys do so much important work for students with disability, and it would be really, I mean, horrifying if those services are cut.
I agree. I was hired in 2007 when they actually implemented the ATI in 2006, and I saw resources grow. And all of a sudden, budgets are not what they used to be. So
Yeah.
But the great thing is our chances.
And what about, so you mentioned ADA 508, and I'm not as familiar with 508, and it's obviously related to assistive technology. Can you tell me a little bit more about that
508
section?
is basically like 504, but it just applies to electronic and information technology. Anything that's technology-based has to be accessible to any individual, that is part of the campus or part of the institution receiving federal funding.
And when was that passed?
In 2006. I'd have to look, Lisa. I don't know.
Okay. So it was passed.
2006.
Sorry, so it's part of the Rehabilitation Act, the amended version, that was 1974, and they recently, within the past decade, made some refreshes, and they're actually releasing another refresh to that within the next year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If because I would think with so much more newer technology, it would have to be. And does it apply? So it applies through elementary, middle school, university. It applies at all levels of education.
508 applies to federally funded institutions, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Got it. I think. Nidhi, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm looking on my email. So either Vivek Vijaykumar has opened a service test request for me for captioning. Thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. How long does it take once the request is made? Like the video is about an hour long.
We have a service level agreement statement that's 10 working days.
Okay.
But I mean, sometimes you're pleasantly surprised.
Okay, good. That should do. All right. Thanks.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm sad that more people didn't take advantage of it because it's such an important thing, but I know everyone's busy. So, but thank you. You're going to send us the slides too, right?
For sure. Thank you for bearing with all the technical issues.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, Cheryl, for all your help.
Oh, no problem. And this recording will be saved. So if you hear of any faculty that might want some accessibility help, refer them to the recording.
Oh, one last thing. If we want all of our classes sort of double checked, I mean, I know some of mine have already been checked because I've already had students, and Damina, you've already helped, and other people have already helped, like closed captioning and things like that. But how do I get sort of on the list to get, and I know one of my classes is going through Equality Matters right now.
Oh, great.
So we're definitely going to be doing that for that class. I don't know how many of these classes are going to be changed or not existing in the semester conversion, but right now, how do I do that?
Right now, Lisa, in all honesty, we're doing it on accommodation basis because of our resources.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But the Quality Matters, because I've been through that course as well.
Yeah.
You'll get some really great resources, and I know all of the previous, Cheryl, we were just meeting, but previous instructional designers also have gone through that training.
Yeah.
It's a great resource to point you in the right direction.
Yes. Yeah. I'm working with Megan, so it'll be great. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much.
I'll send you something and come by and get a pin when you want to try it.
Yes, I will. Okay. And then you'll send me the Sana scent so I can try that. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye.